Alright folks, let's talk about orcas, nature's apex predator with the charm of a Pixar character and the ruthlessness of a Bond villain. You might think you know these black and white beauties from SeaWorld or that one clip from Free Willy, but I'm here to tell you these orcas have more going on than just jumping through hoops. They've got brains, culture, and a flair for the dramatic that would leave even the Oscars speechless. First off, orcas don't just live in pods. They run these pods like exclusive members-only clubs. Resident orcas, for example, have calls so complex and unique to their specific pod, you'd think they were composing underwater symphonies. One group starts their calls with a low pulse, followed by a tone that zips from 3 kHz to over 8 kHz. If they were on Spotify, they'd be dropping mixtapes on the daily. And just when you think one pod's got the monopoly on funky beats, another group rolls in with their own version. A slowly rising tone, then a lower pitch, then a sudden high-frequency note that could give you whiplash. These calls are so distinct you'd know which pod was cruising by just from eavesdropping on their chat. But let's not forget the other orca crew, the transients. While resident orcas are basically the extroverts of the ocean, chatting it up like they're at a family reunion, transients are the deep, brooding types who prefer the quiet life. When they're hunting, they go full stealth mode like a ninja in a tuxedo, barely making a sound. The residents are all, "Hey, I just caught a fish," while transients are like, "Let's keep this on the down low." The one-time transient orcas do make a noise. They let out a long, low-frequency call that sounds more like they're placing an order at a drive-thru than hunting seals. It's rare, though, because why broadcast when you're trying to sneak up on dinner? Now here's where things get really interesting. Each pod's distinct dialect isn't just a quirky feature, it's cultural. Orca culture runs deep, people. These vocal traditions stick around for generations, like your grandma's secret cookie recipe, and they help define who belongs in the pod. It's like their version of a family crest, or better yet, a group chat that's been going strong for decades. These dialects are so important that they shape behavior and hunting techniques. You thought humans were advanced with our tools and tech? Hold my krill. Orcas in different regions have developed wildly unique hunting methods that put even the most seasoned survivalists to shame. Take the orcas off the coast of Argentina, for example. These whales have a hunting tradition that's straight out of a horror movie, intentionally beaching themselves to snatch sea lions right off the shore. You heard me. They beach themselves. Picture it. You're a sea lion, flopping around, living your best life, when suddenly, out of nowhere, an orca comes surging out of the water like a black and white tsunami. The poor sea lion doesn't stand a chance. The orca grabs it, then in a move that's equal parts terrifying and brilliant, the whale arches its body, rocks sideways, and uses the next wave to haul itself back into deeper water. It's like watching someone flawlessly execute a Parker move, except in the ocean, with teeth. Now here's the wild part. Only 13 out of 30 orcas in this area have actually mastered this insane technique. And why, you ask? Because it's hard as hell. Imagine trying to time your jump onto a moving treadmill. Now add water, waves, and the fact that you're the size of a bus. Yeah, it's no small feat. The training process is rigorous. You'll see young orcas beaching themselves over and over again, practicing for years like they're trying to nail a spot in the Olympics. The adult females are the teachers here, patiently guiding their young with all the wisdom of an underwater Yoda. Sometimes they even use seaweed as props to train the rookies. Props! It's like orca kindergarten, but with a life-or-death twist. Some young whales get spooked and never try again. You can't really blame them. Beaching yourself sounds like a nightmare with a side of claustrophobia. And the first time a young orca actually tries to grab a live sea lion? Yeah, that's not happening until they've gone through years of practice. Even then, they need an adult to help haul their catch back into the water. It's a slow, methodical process that involves a ton of skill, patience, and parental investment. Sound familiar? Yep, orcas are basically the helicopter parents of the sea. But why all this effort? Because orca society is built on passing down these complex skills. It's like a deadly game of telephone where the stakes are your dinner. This kind of social learning is a key reason orcas have become such dominant predators all over the world. They don't just rely on instinct, they teach, and that makes them adaptable, formidable, and nearly impossible to outsmart. Now let's talk brains. Orcas don't just rely on brute strength or fancy tricks. They've got the cognitive horsepower to back it all up. Their brains weigh between 5.4 and 6.8 kilograms, making them the second biggest in the animal kingdom after the sperm whale, but it's not just about size, it's about what they do with all that gray matter. Orcas have a brain-to-body ratio, or encephalization quotient, EQ, that's off the charts. Humans top the list with an EQ of 7, but orcas aren't far behind, clocking in around 2.5. That's serious brain power for an animal that spends its days in the deep blue. And here's where it gets even more impressive. Orca brains are more wrinkled than an 18th century poet's brow after a heartbreak. This wrinkling, known as gyrification, allows their brains to process vast amounts of information. The more wrinkles, the more surface area for nerve tissue, and the faster they can process data. Basically, an orca's brain is a finely tuned supercomputer. Humans, we're sitting at a gyrification index, GI, of 2.2. Bottlenose dolphins are at 5.62. But orcas, they win this brain beauty contest with a GI of 5.7, the highest in the world. But wait, there's more. The most fascinating part of the orca brain is their insular cortex, which is involved in regulating emotions. Yup, emotions. Compassion, empathy, self-awareness, all the warm, fuzzy stuff that makes us human. Except orcas might be emotionally intelligent too. They might just understand the feelings of others and have a sense of their own existence. So next time you think you're having a moment with an orca at the aquarium, you might actually be sharing a real connection. Just, don't get too close. In fact, in 2001, researchers put orcas through the ultimate self-awareness test, the mirror test. They marked their faces with ointment and observed how they reacted to their own reflection. The orcas didn't just notice, they were fascinated. They blew bubbles, bobbed their heads, and spent way too much time staring at themselves. Selfie mode, engaged. It's not definitive proof of consciousness as we know it, but it's a pretty strong indicator that orcas might be a lot more like us than we ever realized. And here's the final twist. Orcas are not just collaborating with each other, they're teaming up with other species. I'm talking about humpback whales. Yeah, those giants of the sea, the ones who could easily be an orca's lunch, have been spotted working side by side with orcas to hunt herring. It's like a buddy cop movie no one saw coming. Just when you think you know orcas, they flip the script. In short, orcas aren't just killer whales, they're cultural whales, capable of complex emotions, teamwork, and learning behaviors that rival anything we humans do. They're the ocean's most sophisticated predators, and the more we learn about them, the clearer it becomes that they're not just like us, they might just be better.